and welcome back to my channel. So I'm back at it again with another film review. I know I just uploaded Beauty and the Beast about probably 40 minutes to an hour ago, but I thought what will be, since it's a perfect time that today that I have to do two videos that I can actually get done, I thought I would do the Lion video, film review, I'm sorry. I absolutely, I saw this movie about 5 or 6 days ago, and I honestly fell so in love with the story of Saroo Briley and just the overall story. So I'm just gonna give you guys a synopsis of the movie if you have not seen the trailer. Basically the gist of this movie is about this small Indian boy who lives in who obviously lives in India, and he lives in an impoverished area where there's a lot of rubble, and there's a lot of people basically moving, doing labor work, and his mom does that, and as well as his brother, and he's helping him, and this is the lifestyle that he has, and they depend on this to survive. They go scavenging for food, this is pretty much what they do. And what happened is one night when they're scavenging for food, he is so tired that his brother, that he falls asleep on the bus stop, and his brother says, okay, stay here, and I'm gonna go look for food and I'll come right back. And so he falls asleep, and he sleeps for a long time, and when he wakes up, he doesn't see his brother. So he goes looking for his brother, and he ends up on a train that ends up just taking off and taking him, I think the number was 12,000 or 16,000 kilometers, which is a lot of really far from his village, and even the place where he left off was far from where his mom lived. And basically the story is him trying to find his way back home. He doesn't, and he ends up going through a lot of very, very traumatic things as a little kid, trying to find his parents, and he ends up at an orphanage, and he gets adopted by this Australian family. Now, fast forward 25 years later, he starts to have recollections of his hometown and his mother, and he finally goes on a quest to go look for his mother and to kind of reconnect with his Indian roots. This movie spoke to me really, really deeply, because I think for any, I don't even think it's just a minority thing. I think it's just at all. When it comes to looking for your identity, looking for your roots, when you become lost, I think this movie really, really touches so deeply in that. And it's not even just about identity. It's about a mother's love, that kind of eternal love that lives within a mother and her child. And it's so riveting and so amazing. And I was emotional after. I wasn't full on sobbing, but I was emotional after the film because it touched me so deeply. And I think whether you're a woman or a man, that parental, that feeling of a little child being lost and not finding a way home and having to face all these dangers, you feel on the edge of your seat the entire movie. Even towards in his adulthood, when he's lost, you feel for him, because I think we've all been lost at a certain point. This is where I'm going to let you guys know that from this point on, the video is going to be full of spoilers. So just let you know, if you have not seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to stop the video here and go and watch it, and then come back and watch the rest. But those of you guys who have seen Lion, go ahead and I will tell you my review. So basically, there were a lot of things that I really love about this film. For one, I really loved at the beginning when they showed India, because I have cousins that are half Indian, half Haitian American, and Haitian descent, but they're mainly American. And I don't know anything about Indian culture at all. And so it was really, really amazing to sit down in this film and watch it. Now, mind you, I have to admit, I have not seen Slumdog Millionaire. I have not seen any of those Indian films. And I saw Bollywood films when I was very young, but I didn't really know what they were. So I don't really know a lot about India. And even then, I don't think those movies are a great representation of India as a country in itself. And so this movie really seemed to show the realness and the grittiness of the terrain of where Saru was living. But at the same time, it was really, really cool because there was a kind of, even though there was a realness aspect to it, at the same time, there's a kind of beauty in the ambiance of the colors, the brilliance to them. You could even see the color template of all the orange and the yellow, and it added a lot of brilliance to the very, very rustic and dirty and kind of like, impoverished location where it was. And so that really, I think, showed, added a kind of warmness to Saru's childhood, even though he grew up in poverty, and you can see that, and it's probably very, very difficult. It was still a life full of love and respect, just like any other, any loving family would be. And that was so amazing to me from the very, very beginning. Now, transcending into when he actually gets lost, for one, Sunny Pawar's performance, I fell in love with this little boy. I've seen him in interviews, and I fell deeply in love with him. He is such a beautiful kid. I wanted to take him home, and that fear, he just show in his face that the amount of fear that the actual Saru probably had, being 6 years old, being on a train, being taken away, literally taken away from his family, and that feeling of him speaking Hindu and then ending up in a Hindi, and then being in a place that only speaks, like, I think Bengali. I think that was the name of the dialect. I'm sorry, I apologize if I mess up the dialects. But I think that's what it was. And I think, like, any person can feel that way, especially when you leave your native country or leave your native land where you speak, everyone speaks your language, and you go into a land where no one speaks your language, and you're kind of trying to figure it out. I've been in that situation before, and I know how that feels. And so he just embodied that so well. And then I felt on the edge of my seat when he nearly got abducted. I thought there was going to be a scene where he was going to be molested. When it was the scene when the older man came, when that woman was taking care of him, and that older man came to kind of like evaluate him, I was literally on the edge of my seat, and I was going like this. Like, I was like, please, please, please don't touch him. Please. Like, I felt it. Like, I felt so protective over this kid, just to know how well this movie was constructed. You feel like almost protective over Saru because he has nobody to protect him. And then as the movie moves forward, and then when we get to the adoption, which in my opinion, that was like the first emotional punch. Like, when Nicole Kidman, who plays Saru's adopted mother, she came in and she first meets Saru, and that scene is so intimate, and it feels so just so intense that it feels like, as an audience, we're almost like breaking that private moment, like that, we're in that fourth wall, like, where it's like, oh, maybe we should look away because it's so private and so intimate and so loving. And Nicole Kidman is an amazing actress, and she just did such a great job with acting with this role. And when that whole scene of like meeting him, giving him the koala, I think she gave him when he first lands in Australia, showing him around the house, like, oh, I felt it so much. And then when the brother came, and I felt so bad for the brother, because you can tell that the brother had some sort of mental incapability, and that Saru, he wasn't completely coherent the way Saru was. And so a lot of traumatic things happened to that Indian kid, and we saw what potentially could have happened to Saru. So I can only imagine what the stepbrother did. And the performance of that kid was so good. Like I can't imagine, because I know that, and the thing is, this movie did such a great job with in terms of an adopted parent, that feeling of what it might be, because you are a parent. I mean, a parent is a parent. A parent is someone that takes not only guardianship of a child, but you are in that child's life. You're actively looking over after that child, and sometimes it doesn't have to be blood. You know, your parent is a parent, and adopted parents are all the same. And it's just, you felt that hurt, and that you know, that punch, that emotional punch that the mother had to go through having that stepbrother, but she still loved him and loved Saru as her own children. And even like, you know, that scene, my favorite scene, I think, I think this all takes place within the first hour of the film. And when that scene that really became one of my favorites was when Saru, I think he woke up in the middle of the night, and Nicole Kidman, because I don't remember her name, her role's, her character's name, sorry, but when Nicole Kidman was sitting in the kitchen and she's crying, and Saru came and he hugged her and he said, you know, like, are you okay? And I think he called her mommy, and that broke me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is just so, you know, like, even though like his real mom's alive, his mom is in another country, and he knows that at 6 years old, he knows that, but at the same time, like, this is his mother too, and you feel it, like, it's just, it was amazing. And then of course you had the 25 years later, which of course, you know, Saru was played by Dev Patel. The older Saru was played by Dev Patel, which, as you guys, if you guys have not seen my 8 Beautiful Men, he's featured as number 1 on that video. If you have not seen the video, I will leave the link down below for you guys to check it out. But Dev Patel plays an older Saru, and his I had no idea how great of an actor Dev Patel was, because I have not seen Dev Patel in any movie. Like, I feel really ridiculous admitting that, but I have not seen any of his films before this one, and this really put him on the map for me. Like, I was like, wow, this man is not only like handsome, like, he's incredibly handsome, but he has so much depth and understanding for his character. And I think, obviously, I know he's an Indian, he's British, but he's Indian descent or Indian ancestry, so he kind of has that link, but he makes it so poignant, his performance is so poignant to the point where you feel that. And his chemistry with Nicole Kidman as his son, you know, they played it off just so incredibly well. And you know, and then even when he's looking for his mom, the determination and the way the shots of when he's feeling the walls, like, there's so many artistic shots that I loved of this film. And I love the direction that the director took in terms of letting the characters and the surroundings that they're in dictate the film, the direction of the film. Like, you see that when you watch this film. And I think, like, the last thing I would probably say that I really, really loved about this film, besides the direction, besides the artistic direction, and the chemistry and the casting, I would also say that I really, really loved I love Dev Patel's accent, by the way. Like, he did a really great Australian accent. I have not seen a lot of Australian television, but whenever you hear, like, Aussies speak, like, in interviews or YouTube videos, they sound so natural compared to, like, when us Americans or, like, other people you know, try to do the accent. It doesn't come off as natural, and Dev Patel just did it so well. But besides his gorgeous fake Aussie accent, I really loved Rooney Mara and him together. Like, it was their characters, like Rooney Mara, her character was not based on an actual person, but I think she kind of represented you know, towards the end when he makes the final decision to go look for his mom, and he tells her, like, he goes to her house, and they've broken up, and he goes to their house, and he basically says, like, listen, like, I'm going to look for my mom. Like, I found her. I'm going to look for my mom. I'm going to find home. And home is not only his mom, but his heritage. And so it was just like, it was like that kind of final cut of like, you know, trying to be something he's not, or not something he's not, but to deny a part of himself. And just another thing that I really loved is I love the intimacy between Rooney Mara's character and Dev Patel's and Saru, because there were, you know, you could tell like they played like young people in love, you know, they're kissing and they're like whatever, but you don't actually see them do anything. It's just they're very affectionate in terms of hugging and touching each other, but they never really kiss. And I never understood why that was until I read in an article, in a critique, that actually said that the director did that intentionally to respect, apparently in Indian cinema, they don't, it's kind of disrespectful to show very explicit like kissing and things like that. It's something in their culture that they kind of don't like in their films, and the director wanted to respect that. And I thought that that was so beautiful. Like, another thing I really loved is that the director respected the culture he was in. He understood he was in a different in another country. He was in India. India has its culture, has its norms, has its social rules, and he respected that. And he put that in his film, and he radiated that in his film. And to be honest with you, this is probably one of my favorite movies of the year. It's amazing. It's great. Besides another movie, which I will be doing a film review on that movie, you know, maybe sometime this week or next week. You guys will see it. But yeah. 5 out of 5 stars. Lion is amazing. I have no negative thoughts on it at all. You know, it's a great film. If you have not seen it, or you know, or even if you didn't like it, or you didn't fully understand certain things about it, give it another chance, watch it, and try to put yourself in his shoes. And I think that once you put yourself in Saru's shoes, you could kind of understand, I think, not only from his perspective, but the perspective of a lot of minorities in terms of finding yourself. It's not necessarily, you know, we don't all become lost on a train and like taken away from our parents. Not everybody can give a first-hand account of that happening to them, but I think we can all relate to Saru in terms of finding ourselves within our identity, being comfortable, you know, trying to find that inner peace within ourselves. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this movie review. I had such a great time. I really wanted to make sure that I gave like a really great review on it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you guys agreed with anything that I said. What did you guys notice from the movie? What was your favorite scenes, and who was your favorite character? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, as always, my plugins will always, my social media links will always be in the description box below. And yeah, that's all. I will see you guys next time. Bye.